So, as we've gone through, we've talked about some of the funding aspects and stuff like that. Now, as your little company starts to grow, and I see this all the time, is how do you bring on the right team members? How do you bring on the right people to look at stuff? And when I say team members, I'm talking all aspects of this thing. And one of the things that, especially from my background, I'm very much in sales and marketing, but I see a lot of companies struggling with how do I bring on a sales team, or how do I bring on a sales department and stuff
And how do you
like
promote?
that. Yeah, and how do you promote? Obviously teams are important. What do you suggest that people look for in a team member, or what they're trying to do? Is there any kind of science behind this sort of stuff?
If there was any science, I think I would ignore it. Let's start there. This is so much, number one, circumstance dependent, and so much a people thing rather than a science thing or a process thing. First of all, you got to be thinking about what stage we're talking about. If it's founders, that's one thing.
Yes.
And that's a big deal because the corporate culture hasn't been established yet. It doesn't even exist. And then, of course, as you grow, there's a corporate culture. Now you're not really hiring founders anymore. You're hiring employees. And stage matters because the people you can attract and that you want at the earliest stages when you're little and need people who are generalists, very different than the people you're going to look for as you grow and have to become more specialized. So one of the things that I really found interesting as we wrote this book was that the people ended up, as I just tried to tell people what I knew was important at each stage of the evolution of the business, we got to the people area, and I realized it was such a big subject that we ended up writing 3 chapters on that subject. It was the only place in the book we wrote more than 1 chapter on a subject.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, as I was writing it, I was probably breaking a little rule with the publisher. We don't need to tell them that, but I was giving away chapters as advice already, monetizing this thing the agent told me about give it away. And I kept track of where I was giving away chapters. And it turned out I gave away the chapters on people more than everything else in the book combined by a factor of about 3.
Wow.
Number one, because it clearly is so important to a company. It's always all about the people. And number 2, because it's a kind of thing where people just kind of jump in and continue to make the same predictable mistakes around how they pull a team together and then how they hire employees.
Mm-hmm.
People management is everything in the success of a company. I mean, it can't guarantee you success, but you miss it, it'll guarantee you failure.
Absolutely.